Hey everyone, this is Mike and today we're back in Final Fantasy XIV with some more Relic talk. Now, yesterday we talked about the Relic for all of the combat classes. Well, today I'm going to be talking about the Relic tools for crafters and gatherers, because for the first time ever, I believe, the crafters and gatherers now have a relic as well, and they are called the Skysteel tools. Now, if you want to go and unlock these, you can go to the Foundation, which is Ishgard. There will be a blue quest waiting for you in the Broom, I believe, close to that Aetheryte. And then you just finish up the quest line and you're given the first step of your first relic. So just like with the combat classes, once you finish the story, you're given your first relic, but unlike the combat classes, both the crafter and the gatherer relics have two upgrades that you can get, which will also be an upgrade on all of the tools that are currently available in the game. So I'll put some pictures on screen real quick where you can kind of see this. So if, for example, you compare it to the crafted tools, which I'm currently using myself, those will be a significant upgrade. Now, of course, do remember, crafted weapons can be melded and technically will be better if you pentameld them. But for me personally, I never meld my tools. The only thing I put into my tools are CP. When it comes to my crafters, when it comes to gatherers, I don't even meld them at all. So for me, technically, all of these gatherers tools are going to be a boost in my gathering and perception, that kind of stuff. If I do want to go get all of them, when it comes down to crafting, it is kind of going to be an upgrade, but since CP can be quite important in certain macros and that kind of stuff, and crafting your rotations that you're using, I'm going to be seeing whether or not I want to upgrade just yet. Now, for me personally, I'm just going to be getting one weapon or one tool every week until I got all of them when it comes down to my crafters. When it comes down to gatherers, I might get all three of them as well. I'm not quite sure, because the gatherer ones do take a little bit longer to get than the crafter ones, although the gatherer ones are a lot cheaper to get because they don't require the same amount of stuff as the crafter ones. So I'm just gonna talk to you about how you can upgrade these things as well, because it's a relatively simple process, but I thought I'd explain it a little bit as well for those that are interested in it. In the gameplay that you're seeing in the background, when it comes down to crafting, I also have the macro open for what I'm using for the second step. For the first augmentation step, I just like winged the craft, and it is like it's 20 crafts for the first step. So I should have technically macroed that one, but I was feeling a bit lazy to write a macro, so I just free-handed those. But basically you can kind of take the same macro that I'm using for the augmentation plus one step, and then just take off a few delicate synthesis, I think, and just maybe use like a finisher early or something like that. Basically the first step is really easy, the second step a little bit harder, but still a very easy craft. Nevertheless, you don't need food, you don't need a potion or anything like that. It's pretty easy to craft. Even if I didn't have pentamelded crafted gear, I still wouldn't really have any issues making this thing high quality, because that's very important. Pretty much all of the stuff that you're going to be trading into the NPC to augment your tools needs to be high quality. When it comes down to the crafter stuff, everything needs to be high quality. When it comes down to the gathering stuff, half of your stuff needs to be high quality, but I'll talk about that in just a second. So when it comes down to your crafter stuff, it's fairly simple. You need two different materials for each step of your item creation, so to speak. So for the first step, for augmentation, you need to create 20 items high quality, and it has two ingredients. One of the ingredients is something that you're going to be buying with yellow scripts, and the other ingredient is something that you can just like get in the overworld, whether it is from a monster that you have to kill, from the Fate shop in Shadowbringers, or just an item that you have to go and gather. Then you craft the high quality items, you trade both the tool as well as those 20 high quality items, and then you are given your next step of the Skysteel tool. Also very important to note is that to create these high quality items, you need to have your Skysteel tool equipped. So if you're going to be figuring out macros or that kind of stuff on a website where you put in your stats and then you can play around with stuff a little bit, make sure that you put in the stats with your relic equipped, because of course this will have different stats than maybe the weapon or the tool. I keep calling it weapons, but basically the tool that you might normally have equipped, like I had, for example, with the crafted gear. So do keep that in mind, as I believe the original steps or the original stats on the tool are lower than the crafted tool that we have right now. So keep that in mind. When it came down to the second step, the augmentation plus one, it's exactly the same. This time around, however, you're going to be crafting 30 high quality items, and the second item that you need, so you still have that yellow script item, and then the second item that you need is going to be a little bit harder to get, so to speak, but basically means that it's just like a higher level of item. Like for example, for the first step, I just needed to gather, I think it was like 20 items that I could just get out of gathering points, but then for the second step I needed to get an actual pre-crafted item already to then combine together with this yellow script item to craft the new high quality items for the relic augmentation. So when it came down to crafter, it didn't take all that long. Gathering the items was pretty easy. I think some of the stuff also came out of the Fate shop. Luckily enough, I still had some tokens lying around, or some currency lying around from the Fate shop. So I could just basically go straight up and buy it and then do the 50 crafts, and I was done with it. So when it comes down to crafters, went pretty quickly. The way I'm going to be doing it, and the reason why I said that I was going to be doing once a week, one a week, is because with the weekly trade-ins for the NPCs like Kaishir, Manago, Abdrakar, or whatever his name is, those NPCs, you basically are given a bunch of yellow scripts. So basically every single week when I get that big influx of yellow scripts, I'm just going to be buying the items that I need for the relics, make one relic that day, and then basically call it a day for that week. And then I'll just wait for reset to roll around again so that I can do those trade-ins again, get the yellow scripts from that, and then make another relic at that week as well. So basically gonna make it so that I can make one relic a week. I'm not gonna burn myself out on grinding out these relics and that kind of stuff. And it will also make that it's not really that big of a grind, because you're just getting the stuff which basically takes like 10 minutes of work when you're doing those trade-ins, and then you can just like make your tools afterwards, which maybe takes like around an hour per tool or something like that, because it's 50 crafts. Say you take about a minute a craft, because they are one button macros, so it goes pretty fast. So yeah, basically about an hour, 1.5 hours of work a week to get one crafter's tool done, I think is a pretty good deal, especially seeing how these crafter tools are also an upgrade over what is currently available both in the crafted department as well as in the white script department. Of course, if you pentamel the crafted tool, as I said before, it is still going to be better, but of course not everyone does that. I personally don't do it. So I'm going to take a look and revise my macros and see whether or not I need that extra CP that I'm getting from my tool. If not, then I'm just going to unmelt that CP and switch over to using the Skysteel tool instead, and then keep that around for the next batches of like updates to the crafting system as well, because we still need to get accessories and a belt. And I think that would pretty much be it for when it comes down to like crafting gear this expansion, so I'm not quite sure yet. But we'll have to wait and see how that rolls around when there is an update to crafting gear and that kind of stuff. I'll be sure to make a video, because most likely with the next beast tribe that we're going to be getting, we're most likely going to be getting our new crafted gear as well that will require an item from that beast tribe. If it's anything similar like previous expansions, like with Heavensward we had the Mughals, and then in Stormblood we had the Namazu, where we needed to get items to buy or to make our own crafted gear and that kind of stuff. But there will be a video whenever that comes out. So right now, Skysteel tools, they are an upgrade when it comes down to crafters, and that's also kind of how you do it. Now, when it comes down to gatherers, it is the exact same story. So you can buy your relic just from the vendor. It costs, I think it's like 80,000 gil or something like that, which is kind of expensive for some people, because it will be like 1 million and a bit if you want to get all of the tools. But of course, if you only do one a week, and say for example you gather a treasure map every day, then you'll definitely be able to make that money back in a week's time. When it comes down to upgrading it, this time around you're not really gated behind any like material grind, so to speak, like with the yellow scripts, because all you need to do for the gatherer relic is to just gather stuff. You don't need to have the relic equipped for this one either, but basically you need to gather a bunch of high quality items and a bunch of no quality items that are hidden. Now, because the high quality items usually take quite a bit more time for you to get, by the time that you gather all of the high quality items necessary, you'll probably also have all of the hidden items gathered as well. The hidden items can't be gathered high quality, so those are just no quality items. But when it comes down to gathering the high quality ones, that will probably take some time. Now, when it came down to the first step, that wasn't necessarily an issue, because you have a lot of boosts on your stats basically. So there were basically two types of nodes that you could open. You either had a node that gave you +2 when it came down, or +4, like +2 or +4, both of them happen I believe, to your gathering attempts. And then you also had one that boosts your HQ rate by like 30% or something like that. So getting the high quality ones on the first step was relatively easy, and I ended up having more high quality items than no quality items for the first step. Now, when it came down to the second step, the HQ boosting nodes are replaced by gathering, like, how do you call it, like amount of items gathered per node, I guess we'll say it. So instead of gathering 1 item per attempt, you're gathering 2 items or 4 per attempt. So getting high quality on those was a little bit harder. Of course, once you have a +2 node though, or +4, you can use Blunt Force, I believe it is called. Basically, after you gather 5 times in succession, you can use Blunt Force, and then all of the items that you're gonna get next are gonna be 100% HQ, so you can use that whenever you get those those extra gathering attempts ones. So that was an easy way for me to get them to high quality, but still, when it came down to the second step, you need a whole lot more items, and it's also a little bit harder to get them high quality. So the Gatherer relics are a little bit more of a grind compared to the Gatherer, like the Crafter ones, but on the other end, the Crafter ones also still require you to get the yellow scripts, which is why I'm just going to be doing it once a week with those weekly turn-ins. So that is the Skysteel tools. For now it is available. It is an upgrade over the other tools that we have available right now, so if you do want to get that best in slot for your Crafter and Gatherer, then it is definitely worth going after. The quests themselves are simple. The Gatherer one takes a little bit longer. I think it took me about 2 or 3 hours to grind out all of that kind of stuff. I didn't really time it or anything like that because I was just watching some YouTube videos on the side, or just chatting with some friends, that kind of stuff, to keep myself distracted, so to speak, as just gathering in this game is not super exciting for me. But I do think it is pretty fitting that the content that we got is really involved with what the jobs actually imply as well. Like, as a crafter, you're crafting stuff high quality to upgrade your relic. As a gatherer, you're gathering stuff high quality to upgrade the relic. So I think it was pretty good the way that they did it. When it comes down to what we can expect in future content, I am expecting it to get harder, especially when it comes down to the crafter side of things, because we do have stuff like expert recipes now, so I wouldn't be surprised if we would have to go and make some expert recipes to get our final tier of relic or something like that. But what's currently there, I was pretty happy with, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they're going to be doing with these Skysteel tools in the future as well, and that maybe we can get some relic armor as well, because that would be pretty cool. I can put on my swag coat again from Heavensward or something from the Weaver that I still have lying around, and maybe we can get some of that cool gear again when it comes down to Shadowbringers stuff as well. So that's pretty much all I want to talk about in today's video. If you want to go and unlock those Skysteel tools, you can go to Ishgard and find the quest there. It's pretty simple to unlock and not too hard to get either, so definitely recommend you to go try it out if you're interested in crafting at all. So that's all I wanted to talk about. I want to thank you for watching. I want to thank my Patreons for supporting me, and I'll see you in the next one.